Is he gone? No, don't let him back in. Don't let him back in. Okay, I think we're good. I don't feel like quoting some ad. My soul feels pure. I think we're good. Whew, okay, that was a close one. Anyways, today I wanted to talk about...
Okay, let's talk about formations. Siege in the back, archers at node, infantry up front. I wish I had cavalry here. It's not gonna be a problem, but maybe I can do enough damage to this. I'm sold. I want the game. Yes. Oh wow, these guys are dropping. I think that this is cool. Take this castle.
If you were to ask me my favorite franchises of all time, right now I'd tell you they'd be Transformers, Pokemon, and Rampage, but nobody gives a shit about Rampage, which really makes me sad. But there was one time ago where that included Star Wars and Marvel. Star Wars... Okay, I still like Star Wars. But when it comes to Marvel's just been feeling a little absent. And no, it's not just the MCU, okay? The MCU isn't that bad. Let me rephrase that. The MCU wasn't that bad. But it seems that within the past decade, Marvel content has just... It hasn't hit the same. I mean, just look at Lego Marvel Superheroes. The first one had all of its ground base covered. Then the second one was just an MCU game. The third one had a couple of stuff that was missing from Avengers, but it was still missing a lot of what made Marvel so special. Now, granted, it did make up for it when it comes to other wacky franchises, which was cool. But, I don't know, what I'm trying to say is, I mean, just this is what Marvel used to be. Now this is Marvel today. And to really illustrate my issue, just look at what Marvel is right now. They killed off Iron Man, Captain America's gone, they're probably not doing anything else with Spider-Man, and also Hulk's probably not going to do something, but I don't know, if you want to throw in Worldbreaker Hulk, that'd be neat. But anyways, it's mostly just a bunch of random filler no-names. And with shit like The Marvels coming out, which just feels so bland, it's like, Marvel, what are you doing? You do know that the heart and soul of Marvel is Fantastic Four, and especially X-Men. And then they're like, no, we don't need those. Look, we got shit like Miss Marvel, who's Mr. Fantastic, but way more boring. Oh, but you want someone who's even smarter? We created this random-ass little girl with the dinosaur. Okay, that's kind of cute, I gotta admit. But come on, neither of them hold up to the legacy of Mr. Fantastic. And it sucks that now we might actually see that content because Disney now owns Fox. Oh, what a fucking shit show. But regardless, Disney, you own Fantastic Four and you own X-Men at this point. Put that shit in the MCU, people might be interested again. Oh, but Mr. T, the Fantastic Four suck. That's for another video. Anyways, I wanted to talk about X-Men, because X-Men really was the daddy of Marvel. I mean, it's basically Marvel's equivalent of Pokemon. So many memorable, awesome characters, so distinct. So many iconic and great characters. Wolverine, Cyclops, he's just a guy who shoots lasers out of his eyes, but he's still badass. Jean Grey, Beast, Magneto, Mystique. So many. And the greatest thing is, there's so many amazing villains. Like, obviously I brought up Magneto and Mystique, but like, there's so many other great ones. One of which I already talked about, being this beautiful man. He's basically Thanos, but like, even better. And today, I want to show you the peak of why I used to love Marvel so much. Because this insane rambling at the beginning of this video does have a slight purpose. We're going to be talking about Marvel Minimates, Mr. Sinister, and Nimrod 2-pack. I love both of these characters. Both of these characters are so cool. And look at that logo. It's so fucking charming. On the back, here's the rest of the figures in the wave. First appearance Iron Man. I think that's the coolest looking Iron Man. He presumably comes with this Hulk, who's a little bit faded when it comes to the colors. I kind of like him vibrant green and purple. I think that's a fantastic color scheme. Kind of like this Green Goblin here, who was one of the better Green Goblin Minimates, but they were all pretty good except for maybe the first one, so, you know, that's all good. And he also comes with Unmasked Spider-Man, kind of weak, but that's okay. It's okay. It's okay. You already have like 90 Spider-Men. It's fine. And then you have Nimrod with Mr. Sinister and a variant you could have gotten. The person I got this from was selling both of these. The one that was selling these two and these two. I got this one because I like Mr. Sinister looking like this. And as for Nimrod, well, he's also quite cool too. So let's read. Actually, you read. That's your job. Anyways, did you get enough? No? Pause it next time, you dumbass. Or just go back. So, we're going to get this opened up. I am very excited to share my stories of why I love both these characters and to showcase some badass Minimates, because Minimates really is one of my favorite toy companies ever. Oh, speaking of which, this YouTube channel is the guy who runs Luke's Toy Store, which is like the coolest seller for Minimates. And apparently Minimates is doing very well right now, which I'm very happy with. Minimates, please continue going. You're better than Lego, in my opinion. So yeah, give that guy a watch on some of his videos. Awesome channel. Anyways, let's just get this opened up. I don't have scissors.
I wish I could punch women, huh?
I have a screwdriver. It's fine. It's about as useful. This screwdriver has been used to commit some terrible crimes, like fixing my Armada Prime and failing. Actually, I think that was a different one. Who cares? Ah, fuck. You know, my favorite part about this is completely sealed. And now the figures are out, and you can put them back in freeze of storage. The only thing that's ruined is like, oh no, the tape is like not there anymore. Fucking who cares? It was clear anyways. Oh, but wait, how could we forget about this pamphlet that comes with every single Marvel Minimate wave ever? Now, granted, I will admit, this poster is very, very cool. It's got Crimson Dynamo. It's got like a Magneto Onslaught looking motherfucker. It's got Moon Knight. That Hulk looks really cool. It also has Norman Osborn, who looks like Sandman. Very unusual. But yeah, I mean, this is cool. The only thing that ever changes is this. This is always different. I wonder, is it going to have the same comic? Oh, wow, it totally does. The Amazing Spider-Man in Birthday Blues. Just another day in the life of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. It's my birthday, and what do I get for a gift? Another Spidey's a Menace editorial from Old Man Jameson. Oops, I read that wrong. It's okay. Oh well, at least I got my reliable supervillains to take my mind off. Yeah, that does suck. It's my birthday, and what do I get for a gift? Just the same old The Amazing Spider-Man in Birthday Blues comic. You and me both. It's not my birthday. I'm just making a joke. Just move on from that. I like how old this Dr. Octopus Minimate is. Well, this one's actually fairly new. I mean, this was before the Fearsome Foes box set. But, I mean, yeah, it's just, it's so funny because that Minimate, it's like one of the older ones, and it's actually pretty bad for the time. There's also some Civil War stuff. Don't need it. Just watch my Red Onslaught. You don't need any other Red Skull. Cool. Okay, let's talk about the figures now. Here's the sticky test. Are they sticky? Actually, surprisingly, no. Oh, good. Those hands don't want to rotate. Okay. That's whatever. How about Nimrod? Ooh, he's a little bit sticky. But, I mean, considering he's like a pearly plastic, I guess that makes sense. Dude, I just have to say, I'm so sad. You know, I recorded this entire session in one sitting. So that included me unboxing it and talking about the figures. But for some reason, the actual review, I don't know what happened to it, but it was not part of the video. It's nowhere on my fucking computer, which is a shame. I did such a good job talking about why I liked both characters, my thoughts and problems with the figures, and overall my overwhelmingly positive opinion on Minimates. But it's gone. It's all gone, so I have to start over again. I'm so sad, man. It's funny, I didn't even realize this till the very end. Because when I was editing the footage, I realized that of the 11 minutes, which was edited down to 9, only like 8 minutes were left of the quote-unquote review, and I actually pointed it out here. Alright, I'm in the process of editing this. Now we're finally getting to the figures. How much is left in the review?
Wow. You know, I always felt that my reviews dragged on a little bit too long, but I feel like this is a bit of an overkill in the opposite direction. This review is a fucking mess.
But nope, it's not that I didn't really take the time to properly edit them. It's just that that footage is gone, so whatever. Well, whatever, we can only move forward. So anyways, Mr. Sinister and Nimrod are both out of the package. We'll first take a look at Mr. Sinister. He was the guy that I fell in love with first. Well, fell in love with is a bit of a stretch, but, this is the guy, I grew up with Mr. Sinister. I didn't like Nimrod until a little later, but yeah, anyways, Mr. Sinister. So, I conflate Marvel Minimates in terms of quality of it being a great Marvel toy line with the Toy Biz Marvel Legends. And there were plenty of toys that I grew up with as a kid. One of them was a Marvel Legend... What?
God damn it!
One of them was of Mr. Sinister. I didn't know who he was, but he was this big, cool, badass-looking vampire. Not really, just had the popped collar and the pale skin. I always was intrigued by good old Mr. S here. And now that I have a Minimate that practically looks like the Marvel Legends, or I guess really the comic book character, I think it's really neat, though this one does have some problems. I had a trouble times... One of my initial issues with this figure was his boots. I don't know why, but some Minimates have asymmetrical fit when it comes to these specialized shoes or boots. My Arthur in particular, he is really bad about this. I mean, look how much higher this one is compared to this one, and it just results in him not being able to stand up, at all. Now, he's not quite as bad, but when you couple that with his ridiculously oversized cape, it makes him very top-heavy and hard to stand, so I just give him a display stand. Man, how crazy is that? I still remember when Minimates were a thing and new, and they didn't have display stands. This was around, when this was released, 2010, 2011, that kind of junk. And then they just started adding them in, 2012, which feels new to me, but it's really not, because these came, even though I played this game around the time of 2010, these came with display stands. Time is really weird. Anyways, while his boots may not be that great when it comes to the fitting and being able to stand, they do look at least pretty nice. But let's talk about that cape. I mean, Mr. Sinister has a very defined cape, let's just say. But, no, this seems a bit much. The popping of the cape does seem a little bit excessive and not that accurate. It just seems way too big, though I do like the details. It's not even that rubbery, though. Okay, these are fairly pliable, but, this... Okay, maybe never mind. I will say one thing. Minimates, you do big figures much better than minifigures, and then you do little guys... You're starting to improve on those. Let's just say we've come a long ways from this. Why is this guy more proportionate than a normal character? That's terrifying. But one thing that still remains, their capes, they're not very good, because of how Minimates are, they have to be plastic. And then when you combine that with hoods, it's why, even characters like Doctor Doom, he still doesn't really have a good Minimate. Or, the Taskmaster, I don't have him because he doesn't look that great, because his cape and hood combo just does not look great. And unfortunately, this is a good example of Minimates having issues with capes. Also, the popped collar here does look a little bit odd. However, I do like the fact that his shoulder pads are a part of it. That is neat. It doesn't really add too much to the thickness in between the neck. I do have to say that I really like that head. I mean... Minimates may not be as, charming when it comes to minifigures, when it comes to how cute their faces are, but they have some pretty nice-looking, heads. I really love the black lines. One of my things when it comes to art, there's plenty of things, usually, really expressive characters. However, shading with black is so sick-looking, and it looks fantastic here. He looks straight out of a comic book, and it looks fantastic. Even on the chest, you can kind of see that. So, yeah. I mean, this isn't the best Minimate ever, and it's mostly just due to this color piece, but it's still a really nice looking Mr. Sinister, and really captures why I love this character. Just, I don't know, maybe tone that cape down just a hair, just a hair. In terms of articulation, the only thing that's inhibited is his head. You'd be surprised. You'd think like it would be his up and down, not his left and right, but no. While he does have a little bit of a restricted up and down movement, good luck trying to get to his head because of how big his collar is. Also, of course, his boots are basically locked. Yeah, that's kind of a common thing when it comes to Minimates. These guys have about as consistent ankle articulation as modern Transformers having consistent wrist articulation. Just something you gotta deal with. So Mr. Sinister, I think of the two, is probably the weaker, but that's, you know, he still does the job well enough. It's just maybe like a new custom cape would be nice. You know, it still looks fantastic. It looks very nice. It's very well sculpted. Just, yeah, maybe, you know, the old phrase, less is more. So, pretty good figure, but just not the best. Now let's get to Nimrod. Now, I didn't know who Nimrod was for the longest time until I watched, I think it was Comic Books Explained. He talked about, like, this character who was too powerful for the MCU. I was like, who is Nimrod? Turns out he's just a Sentinel, like a Super Sentinel, and he can adapt to any attack. Or he's kind of like a Super Taskmaster, I think. He's kind of like the Marvel equivalent of Doomsday, and I think the pairing between the two is really cool. Doomsday is like an evolutionary monster, like just a force of nature, even though he was genetically altered to be as resistant as he is. Whereas he is a technology character who, on the fly, updates to adapt to any fighter. I feel like a fight between those two would be pretty neat. Apparently, Doomsday stomps. I don't know if that's super accurate, but anyways. While Nimrod may look kind of silly, I think how imposing of a character he is definitely makes up for that. And they did a really, really nice job with capturing Nimrod. First off, I think this piece might actually be custom. It may be, it might not be, but one thing's for sure, it does look spectacular. He also has, of course, custom boots and fists, though. Him having curled up fists, is that accurate to Nimrod? I don't feel like that fits him very well. But I think my favorite thing on this guy is the plastic they used. It's this nice pearly white. Definitely does a great job in making him pop. It's so cool. I like when Minimates are kind of like that, where they got like the shiny look compared to, you know, here's another Sentinel, you know, the Marvel vs. Capcom one. Yeah, you know, this one's definitely more of a pearly plastic, whereas this is like a shiny plastic. I like both of them, but, you know, I really appreciate when they do that, as opposed to what they do now, which is a bit more chalky and doesn't feel as satisfying, which actually, considering the fact I've already said this, but when I first got my new Minimates back in 2020, I thought they were all like that, and it nearly put me off from collecting them again. But no, it's just what they do now. Yeah, this is a really nice adaptation of Nimrod, and of course he does also have the waist extension, as he should. He is a big boy. In terms of articulation, really the only thing that's inhibited is pretty obvious, his head. Actually, you know what? No, that's still pretty useless, but hey, it's something you can do. And obviously, I mean, yeah, no ankle articulation there. But I mean, otherwise, he's pretty much standard. You'd even think that these shoulder pads would inhibit articulation, but they don't. It's just naturally how the earlier Minimates are restricted in their ball joints and when it comes to the shoulders. Even his waist articulation, nope, he still has that. So, yeah, overall, this is a pretty good Nimrod, and there's a very solid reason why they didn't make another one. Because he's kind of an obscure character, so they don't really need to. But also, is still, you know, a really good job at it, so they don't need to make another one. But overall, Nimrod, their first shot, they did a pretty damn good job at it. That's not even something I can say for Onslaught, because while this is a fantastic figure, this is technically the second one. Now, I do think that the only difference is that the original one had, like, this shiny color, which is cool, but I think I much like these comic book colors a little better. So, yeah, great Minimate. So there you go, there's the Mr. Sinister Nimrod 2-pack. Now, why did I review this? It's mostly just because this 2-pack represents what I love about Minimates, particularly their Marvel sets. They do these characters that I love but don't get that much recognition from mainstream stuff. I mean, neither of these characters are very obscure. I knew about one of them as a kid, but you're not going to be getting a modern Marvel Legend of these guys anytime soon, and they're probably not going to show up in the movies, too. Unless you count, like, the overpowered Sentinels in Days of Future Past as Nimrods, as they basically acted like Nimrod. But, I mean, you compare this with how LEGO treats Marvel, and they do a pretty good job, too. But they haven't gotten to these guys yet, and they probably won't for a very long time, if ever. Even in the video games, I'd say, unless they make an X-Men game. That'd be pretty cool. But anyways, the fact that we have Minimates that 10 years ago made these two figures, awesome non-mainstream character from the X-Men, and another awesome non-mainstream character paired together, and they're both pretty good. It just goes to show how just special Minimates really are to me. And I really wish that they did the same thing for DC, because could you imagine if they did some DC Minimates? That would be fantastic. It's probably a contract issue. I remember the first figures they made, they couldn't make them in 2-packs, so they made like these shitty construction sets for the figures. That's where a lot of the earlier stuff came from. They had like a couple of waves where they got to make the 2-packs, but now they just make Minimates, which I don't think anyone really likes Minimates. They're basically if you made Minimates, Funko Pops, which maybe that's too harsh. That's pretty harsh. I'm sorry, Minimates. You don't deserve that. Minimates, whatever. But yeah, imagine if we got stuff like the Anti-Monitor, Scarecrow, a Hawk Girl that wasn't garbage, a new Martian Manhunter, this Egg guy, dude. Man, I need to bring this guy back in. I mean, this is when... Oh, shit. The only guys I need left is Omega Red and Apocalypse. There's probably a couple of other, like, non-Magneto-related villains with the X-Men, but those are, like, my 5 favorites. And I can definitely get them at any time, but yeah, just the fact that I can do this at all is just so cool. I mean, this doesn't even scratch the surface of how obscure some of these character picks get. Did you know they made a 4-pack with not just Cyclops, but a Phoenix-infused Cyclops? And they made an Iron Man that's the Phoenix Buster! The Phoenix Buster! And if you don't know who the Phoenix Buster is, he looks like this! So the fact that we got this kind of stuff, dude, I just love Minimates, man. They're so cool. Man, Toys R Us needs to come back. Or they go into Walmart or Target, because more people need to experience this stuff. Minimates is still apparently at a good place, but like, man, this was at a point where they were common spread, and now you kind of have to go out of your way to get new Minimates. I mean, even like the Minimate database website doesn't really have a lot of the new stuff, which is quite troubling. But yeah, Minimates, I wish you the best of luck. And as for you, I will see you next time. Probably not going to do a Minimates review. I'll probably do like Transformers. I'm very clearly a Transformers fan.
Like, dude, Mr. Sinister sweeps, man. Nimrod weeps.
Oops, my system crashed. I lost my data, but I had an antivirus. Antivirus is not enough. You need Protogent, world's only antivirus software with data recovering software. Think beyond big. Think Protogent. I don't know how accurate that was.